Are you ready to make your hipster pants? Then let's get started. What you need for it is a nice firm medium weight fabric. I chose linen, but you could use denim as well. That would be nice, or something with a little bit of stretch in it, such as a sateen, not a satin. That has a really lovely drape. Sateen has no drape, it stands, and it's a really nice fabric for this as well if you want to get all that lovely volume down the leg. Then you also need a concealed zip, and you really use any length. I just had this length. It's a bit of a waste because it's way too long, but we can cut it off at the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So you need a concealed zip, good quality, because they break real easily, the cheap ones. Then you need the pattern, obviously, and we're cutting that one out, and you can get that in A0 or an A4 or a letter size. And then we need a little bit of interfacing, iron-on interfacing. We're going to put that onto the underside of the facings. You can also use the little roll, of course. That's the really slim interfacing, no problem. If you have a heavy fabric, you can just do it like I'm showing you in the ebook, and we just interface the top edge. But generally speaking, I would interface the whole facing. And that's basically it. It's a very, very simple, very quick pattern. So let's get started. And first of all, have a really close look at our pattern. The first thing you have to obviously do when you print off your pattern is to measure the test scale. I would just print off the first page first, and if it's 5 centimeters or an inch, that will be on this side, then you're okay, right? Your pattern is super simple to assemble. It's in alphabetical order, as you've probably already done umpteen times, so we won't go over it again. It goes A, B, C, D, and all of that. You've got 2 facings with it, and that's basically it. They are going to be cut out on the fold, so they're a little bit shorter here in this area. There you go. So you've got that centimeter missing off the center front and center back, of course, to account for this being cut on the fold. And we just need to cut 2 fronts and 2 backs. Make very sure that you cut a pair. That means mirror image, so you don't end up with 2 left or right legs. And now let's have a quick look at the size chart. The first thing you need to find is the hip measurement, and the hip measurement has to be the first one that you look at, because the waist is of course easily adjustable, right? Then I've also got measurements for mid-hip finished and hip finished garment. And that means that the measurement here for the hip is a really great one. So if you have a pair of pants that fits you really well, you can just have a check and measure that through. And if that's 107, you can pretty much say, oh yeah, that'll fit, that's the right size. It's a really nice way to check before you start cutting out and sewing, and you don't want to be disappointed. And then we've got the mid-hip, which is really a low waist. Mid-hip is a little bit lower really, but that mid-hip is where the trousers end, and it's a measurement that is very hard to gauge, because some people will measure here, some people will measure there. So please do go by your waist measurement when you adjust it, because it will fall in line with the hip, this measurement, right? That's the finished one. You will also see that I've got some teen sizes in here. 12, 14 and 16, simply because a lot of my customers are actually from Asia, and they are very, very slim and slender. Very often they can't find anything in the shops, and so they have to buy children's stuff, and then the length doesn't fit. So although they are teen sizes, the actual length of the pattern is the same. So if you're making this for your teenager, the legs would be way too long. So make sure that you cut them down a little bit. And let me just show you how that works on the pattern. Let's grab the pattern again. On here you've got a little marking on all your patterns. It says here lengthen or shorten, so at this point you can basically lengthen or shorten them. I wouldn't really worry about it too much, because to be honest, it's a very straight leg. Even if you cut it off the bottom, it'll be absolutely fine, right? But make sure that you shorten them to fit your child or your teenager if you're making it for your teen, and you don't make them too long and waste fabric, because that's not what you want to do. and so we can put this back away. So I hope that was clear for you, and all you have to remember, hip measurement is the one you want. That's the all important one. As I found with the testing as well, people have very, very different bottoms, and so I want to quickly explain to you how you arrive at your size that's right for you, and what you can do to avoid the lines in the back, sort of like little commas. And I call them commas because that's something Alexandria said, and I thought it described it very well. I've taken some of her videos from YouTube and I've put them into this course as well, including her sample pattern for a pair of trousers, so that you can practice amending a trouser as well. So everyone that's really, really keen to learn the ins and outs of that, you can learn there how to adapt for your bum, for your belly, for a very long crotch or a very short one. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. No need for me to do it again. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you very quickly how you can change your pattern without knowing any of this and going through an amendment like that. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you the fast version now. So let's have a look at this here. We are just going to essentially make our bum a little bit bigger, and say if you are the blue size, whichever that is, come down here, and then we're going to go one size up, say to that one. And if it's really, really big, your bum, you can even come out to there. What you do not want to do is to come out in this area already, because this area, you won't need it. If you do that, you'll end up with having to put in a dart. So you take your measurements. All you have to do is follow this line down. And as you get all the way to the end, that's when we're going to maybe even dip a little bit lower on here, so that we're getting a bit more length. And what that does is it will not make this bigger up here. That's not what we want, but this is where your bottom is. It gives it more room to come out. So from here all the way out, right? So if it's shorter, that's why, if it's too short, that's why it pulls here. That's exactly the line you're getting if there's not enough length on this. So all you have to do is make it a little bit longer. So I'm just going to the next size, and that will be it. Now, if you have a very flat bum, what you want to do is take out here a little bit and maybe reduce this by a size, and then go in back to your size down there. Okay, so that's another option. And if you have a wide hip and a flat bum, what you want to do is go over a little bit to the smaller size, come down, come down, come down, and then ease into your size, the longer size, to there. So we've had one tester who has exactly this problem. So if you have a very flat derriere but wide hips, that's what you want to do. You want to go one size down, you come all the way out, and then you go out to the next size up here, or even one size more. And if that's then too much, you can just take it back out. So that would be how to deal with it. And the other thing is, if you are like me and you find that your waist is very, very apple shaped, I go straight up. I don't really have a waist, never did have a really small waist. So now, as I'm a bit older, I find that a real issue. So what I would do here, or have done already, as you can see, that's my turquoise line. So I went a whole size further up, which should fit me, but I let it run straight into my line where the hips are, because the hips are fine. I don't want it baggy over the hips. I just want a little bit more room up there. And so I prepared this for me, and it's absolutely fine. I'm loving it. The other thing I very quickly wanted to tell you is, what do you do if you have a very long rise, and that means that your trousers kind of pull down like that? And in that case, I've already drawn this on here, is you just go up a size like this, or even two sizes. Come here, and then you go down, and you can also just ease back into you know, the line you had. It just really depends what the issue is. If you haven't got a big bottom to go with it, then you definitely want to come back down to your original line. And if you have a big bottom as well and it's not long enough, then you go up and you stay with that line, and we're just going to add the bigger size line to that. And then one more thing that I think is quite important is that, say you have a big belly, you can go up a size as well, or even 2 sizes from that point. So you're going into the next size and then you come down. But again, like I said on the back as well, really you don't want to make anything else different, because actually you found the size that's good for you by your hip measurement, right? So where this line here is just below that, we are just going to go back into the original line for that size. So go ahead, change the pants to make it fit you perfectly. And if you want to know all the ins and outs, then pop down in this course to the lower chapter, where you'll find all the videos from Alexandria. She's done a wonderful job explaining this all in detail, and she has a lovely YouTube channel as well, so let's give that some love too, and we can carry on here with cutting out our fabric.